Alright, the Eagles D-line just dominated the Cleveland Stains in their first joint practice, led by, who do you think, the breadman himself, Jalen Carter, plus a couple other rookie surprises, while the Birds' offense was, let's just say, less than ideal. Should we be concerned? Let's talk about it, but first, let's run it. Hey guys, okay, so in case you didn't catch it already, our fearless leader, Mr. Breed of One, Jalen Hurts, can add another nickname under his belt after it was officially announced he signed a deal with the Jordan brand. So I guess we should call him Air Jalen now. I mean, this feels totally on brand for Jalen, especially with him having a picture of MJ above his locker with a quote that reads, "Some people want it to happen, some people wish it would happen, and others make it happen." Plus, let's not forget head coach Nick Sirianni already compared Jalen to Jordan back in January.
Like, he's having like Michael Jordan out there. Like, he's your leader. He's your leader. He's your guy. He's your, like that's, hopefully that's the biggest respect I can pay to him, comparing to his ability to be on the field to a Michael Jordan type.
I'm all for it. I don't think it's hard to see the similarities in how Hurts plays and the crazy, not normal way he attacks each and every day. Hopefully this means what's next on the horizon is the 6 MJ championships to follow, but always cool to hear about some off-the-field stuff with the Birds. Another Philly legend who was at the Mountjoy concert at the Mann Center was Jason Kelce, who made a declaration I think we'd all agree with: Philly is the best city in the world, followed by a spirited rendition of Fly Eagles Fly. Jason Kelce's just the best. And thankfully, we'll get even more behind-the-scenes look into the life of sexy Batman after Amazon Prime announced it will be releasing a feature-length documentary entitled Kelce on September 12th, which covers all the behind-the-scenes stuff that went on from last season. And although it'll be super tough to see more Super Bowl heartbreak, I will without a doubt be tuned in for it. Who all plans to watch it? Another area I think we're all tuned into is practice. With joint practices versus the Cleveland Browns or Stains kicking off yesterday. Remember, we went to Cleveland last year, so they had to come to Philly this year. But it looked like a cool reunion before practice, with former Eagles defensive coordinator and now Browns DC Jim Schwartz saying what up to several of the bros, and even former safety Rodney McLeod catching up with some familiar faces. Speaking of familiar faces, this is about the point when the news broke that the Birds will see another familiar face on week 1, with the Patriots signing former Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott, who will wear number 15, which means Zeke's last play will forever be remembered like this, not exactly the way you want to go out.
I'm a little embarrassed.
Whatever, good for him to get a contract, and apparently it was for up to $6 million for a 1-year contract. Again, just showing the incredible prowess that GM Howie Roseman has to build a roster, since practically our entire running back room is about that same amount. Anyway, I saw some tweets referencing having to play a hungry Zeke, and sure, it's never easy to play Belichick, who's coming off of an offseason to prepare, but this signing isn't really concerning to me. How are you feeling about it though? Honestly, the more slightly concerning element is that Quez Watkins and Britton Covey are dealing with hamstring injuries, so won't be practicing for a bit. And I know it's still plenty of time until week 1, yet I think most of us know hamstring injuries can linger quite a bit, but hopefully they're back to 100% soon. Linebacker Patrick Johnson also didn't practice with an ankle, and wide receiver Deion Kane was listed as limited as he tries to work his way back with the ankle injury he suffered a week or 2 ago. Some good news though, AJ Brown was back getting some work on the jugs machine before practice. Honestly, kinda insane since he got his wisdom tooth removed just a couple days ago, but I'm sure Jalen was happy to have one of his favorite targets back. He was tying his new all-black Jordan 10s, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. I also love to see this strange new tackle the donut drill, because boy do the linebackers need it after missing several tackles in the first preseason game. Defensive coordinator Sean Desai was excited before the team's first session against Cleveland, talking to some of the guys, and also shared about some of the biggest benefits of the joint practice.
I think the joint practice are tremendous because it's right about that time in camp where you get tired of going against your own guys, and you get somebody asked a question about a different offensive scheme. You get to see yourself against different stuff and different players, different receivers, different O-linemen, different tight ends, guys that run their routes a little bit differently, and it becomes more real football-like, more game-like. The fact that we do it is awesome.
I think it's great, and as much as I like to say it's only one game or it's only one practice, we've heard Sirianni stress the importance of joint sessions as them being more important than the preseason games, since that's when the starters will get most of the work, which is exactly what we saw on Monday, where Jalen started out one-on-one drills with a bang connecting to A.J. Brown on his favorite route and back shoulder throw, followed by a nice curl to Devontae Smith against Denzel Ward. The teams then split up onto both fields running 7-on-7s, and Hurts seemed to be on point, showing patience to hit Olamide Zaccheaus on the left sideline and then connecting with Dallas Goedert on consecutive plays. However, after a couple good throws, Jalen then got intercepted by Denzel Ward, with Smitty being the intended receiver near the sideline. According to reports, it was a good play by Ward, but also underthrown by Jalen, something that continued to be a theme for the day. On the other field, Deshaun Watson basically copied Jalen with several completions to start out before falling victim to the ghost. As Brandon Lee Gowton shared, Ed Reed Blankenship picked off the ball after Zach Cunningham got his hands on it but couldn't hold on. I mean, are we really surprised by anything Blankenship does at this point? The teams then began 11-on-11, with Reed Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds starting at safety and Nakobe Dean and Christian Ellis at linebacker, before Kayvon Wallace eventually subbed in for Edmonds. Unfortunately, the D definitely started out in a rough patch, with EJ Smith saying, aside from Edmonds recovering a fumbled snap, Desai's squad gave up 4 completions on 5 plays, including one to Anthony Schwartz on a play action where nobody got any pressure on the QB. But have no fear, when in doubt, just insert rookie Sidney Brown, who I think it's fair to say is winning over his DC.
Sidney's done well, he's at a good camp, and he's continuing to grow and learn this defense, and that's really all these young guys, and really everybody, but it's a bigger learning curve for young guys. He's doing everything he can to learn and grow with that. And then in terms of their aggressiveness, that's the art of a coach. Sometimes their great traits can hurt us, but I mean, he hasn't done that. He's done a good job in just teaching the techniques that we want, and then you got to let these guys play. That's part of what got them here.
Well, it didn't take long for the 23-year-old to showcase what got him here, having an immediate impact with the first-team defense when he was sent on a blitz and sacking Deshaun Watson. I'll tell you something you already know. Brown plays aggressive and plays fast, probably evidenced by nothing better than this play against Baltimore. But like I've been saying, we're going to see a lot more of that in the future. Brown's play seemed to be the catalyst for the defense, with Josh Tolentino then reporting Josh Sweat registered multiple sacks on Deshaun Watson and took it to another level. Sweaty J did end up having to take a breather after a rep, but it was nothing serious and continued to bring the pressure the rest of practice. It seems like Sweat's made a couple big plays in nearly every practice to this point, but not really a surprise with him being on a mission to get the recognition he deserves.
Am I appreciated? No. It is what it is. It's another year. I'll be there. I'm just working towards it. But right now, it is what it is.
I agree with Sweaty J, and I've talked about him in the past, but I think he's going to have a monster season, and it wouldn't surprise me if he led the team in sacks. But on the negative side, the Eagles' O-line struggled early, despite cutting it up with some of the guys before practice, giving up 2 sacks on the first 2 passing plays, one of them being Myles Garrett with a low bend on Jordan Mailata. Unsurprisingly, Sirianni wasn't too happy about the start, although it got better once Agent Zero came onto the field as DeAndre Swift broke free behind good blocks and excellent vision for a 50-yard touchdown run. It feels like that won't be the last time we hear that this season. It also won't be the last time we hear Hurts to Devontae, where the two hooked up for a long touchdown pass over the Browns' defense. Unfortunately, that penalty was nullified due to a false start on the right guard.
What is this, amateur hour?
I didn't see another tweet confirming who it was, but I'd have to assume Jurgens was the guilty party since Jalen and Devontae were in on the rep. Thankfully, the dynamic duo were unfazed, with Jalen Hurts delivering a crazy dime to Devontae Smith as he scrambled to his left, throwing across his body 30 to 40 yards to Smith in the front of the end zone, garnering several cheers from the fans. But apparently, the route was more impressive, with Browns corner Martin Emerson asking after the play, "What kind of route was that, dude?" To which Greg Ward on the sideline responded saying, "The kind that beat your ass." Smitty seemed to be creating a lot of space and had a really good day, as Brandon Lee Gowton noticed the Slim Reaper would have had 2 more deep TDs if Hurts hadn't underthrown him. Although it's really difficult to deliver the ball when you're not getting much time in the pocket, with the Browns recording at least 6 to 7 sacks, if not more, during the 11-on-11 period. And again, Myles Garrett got the best of Mailata, where after the play, Jalen tried to keep the spirit of the group up by aggressively clapping in the huddle, although that didn't seem to work. Because very soon after, communication broke down during a rush attempt, and Sirianni let the O-line have it, even directing some aggressive words toward O-line coach Jeff Stoutland. Obviously, Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett, so he's incredibly tough to stop. I should also mention that Garrett left toward the end of practice with a foot injury, hopefully nothing major, but not exactly sure what it is yet. But back to the offense. It was an awful day by all accounts, and not really anything to write home about, with Jalen going 15 for 20 with 0 touchdowns and 1 INT. Yes, I know, I said he threw 1 touchdown to Devontae, but apparently Elliott Shore-Parks only counted it as a deep completion and not a score. Either way, it's not a great day from Hurts, but the O-line is the more disappointing aspect. I'm not too concerned because it's only just 1 practice, but I'll just say I'm glad that they go again today to redeem themselves. I don't know, let me know how you guys feel about all this in the joint practice in the comments. At least the silver lining is that the defense played much better for the Birds, and in particular Jalen Carter, with Philly giving the bread man some first-team reps and literally lining him up all over the field. Some on the right edge, some on the left edge, and even at the D tackle position, where the Inquirer's Jeff McClain said Carter was able to collapse the pocket while rushing from multiple spots along the line, the 4-eye technique in the Eagles' penny 5-1 front, to the 3 technique in their 4-man pass rush front, to the 0 technique over the center. And even the vets can't help but be impressed with JC.
The biggest thing is just seeing him, go out and destroy people, and being a pro. He's, like you said, he's soaking it up, and he's learning each day. The technique and how to take care of himself, the importance of the things that's on the field that need to be taken care of on the field. Being smart, making smart decisions, while you're on the field. Knowing the playbook, which I think he got a pretty good handle on the scheme-wise and, what the coaches expect of him. And now it's up to him to go out and execute on the field and ball out.
Well, that's exactly what Jalen did, notably getting a lot more reps with the ones and pushing a blocker aside to wrap up the RB on one play, followed by nearly sacking Deshaun Watson on the next rep. Don't worry, he did eventually get a sack, according to CBS's Jeff Kerr, who said JC and BG were converging at the same time, but it appeared Carter got there first. He was also active in a fumble recovery later, and so was the other first-rounder Nolan Smith, as the mini Haason Reddick got a sack, as did the regular-sized Haason Reddick. Yet it was JC again who closed out practice on the final play with a bang, lining up in the same spot he did against Baltimore, executing a perfect move to sack Deshaun Watson and hype up the Eagles' D, leaving Reddick really excited to talk about the Rook's ability after practice.
Man, just the way he moves, to be his size, as fluid as he is, as light as he is on his feet, jabbing, moving around guys, we all seen that Baltimore play when he was in. He's been having an amazing camp, and, man, I'm glad he's here. I know he can help us. Because we lost a great pass rusher in Hargrave, and just to see that how closely he moves like Grave, doing some of the same things, and just his intensity. Like, he's a dog. He goes out there, he plays hard. Everybody's excited for that.
Come on, I know I've said this before, but this is who we thought Jalen would be, and with him getting more reps on the first team and studying film and gaining a better understanding of the playbook, his potential is limitless. I think it's a no-brainer at this point that Jalen Carter is definitely standing out the further into camp we get. Seriously though, are any of you surprised by this? JC ended the day with 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and several pressures in his first joint practice. Overall, the Birds' D-line looked pretty good, recording 7 sacks in total, but the secondary still left too much to be desired by multiple media members. Thankfully, we didn't have any major injuries, although there was a scare with Landon Dickerson leaving midway through practice and Jason Kelce even stepping off near the end. However, Kelce later appeared to be fine, and Jeff McClain relieved everyone by sharing Dickerson came back out onto the field after practice with his left ankle taped and looks fine. Glad to hear that and good news there, but like I alluded to earlier, I'm a little surprised that the Browns seem to play with more energy and spirit in the first session. The other battle to keep an eye on is that Aaron Sipos outpunted Ty Zentner, but neither performed very well. On his first 4 punts, Sipos averaged 4.48 seconds of hang time, and Zentner averaged 4.16 seconds on 3 punts. Definitely one area I don't feel really good about at all, and Philly's got to do something, but thankfully they'll be back today at 5 o'clock Eastern, and I'd expect things to be much sharper on offense. This has been the Philly Special.